Train the muscles, not the joints. So tonight I trained some chest, back, and legs. Some of you guys might be wondering, why am I training the holy trinity of body parts? Well, the fact is, it's kind of like a whole body workout, because when I'm doing chest and I'm doing back, I'm getting some arm work in and I'm getting some shoulder work in. And then of course I get that metabolic boost from training the legs. Even if I'm doing high rep legs or low rep legs, it doesn't matter. My legs are already a little sore, so that's why I kind of was lazy tonight on the leg press. I just did about 4 or 5 sets there. So this is why I will do these types of workouts, because I am getting some arm work in, but I'm getting it indirectly, right? So chest, back, and legs is a great workout to do here and there. If you are in a bind for time and you want to just get the main muscle groups in, get the whole body, it's a great thing to focus on, especially when you're doing the main compounds like bent over rows and stuff. Now the reason why I didn't do the bent over rows tonight is because I'd already did bent over rows the last back workout, so I wanted to do something a little bit different this workout. And I'd already trained at Fraser Valley Fitness in Agassiz there, and I did some stiff leggings the other night, so that's why my legs are sore. So the blessing and the curse of Romanian deadlifts is that they also burn out the lower back as well as the hamstrings. So I find then when I go to do back, sometimes I will do bent over rows if my lower back isn't too fatigued or too sore. But what I will also do sometimes, just to make sure that my lower back isn't the weak link in the exercise, is that I will do a machine row like this one right here. And this is great because I can just kind of just focus on just setting myself in place and then just rowing. That's it, and keeping that tension on that upper back so the lower back doesn't play a role at all. Because a lot of times when you're doing bent over rows or any sort of large movement, large compound movement that involves the lower back, you will notice that the lower back does play a role in fatiguing at some point, and inevitably it will influence your decision of when this set is coming to an end. Because remember, you always want to keep that perfect form in the lower back. Once the lower back form starts to deviate, it's actually dangerous to continue the set deeper into failure, because that is when a back strain can happen. So that's the nice part about machines. Sometimes if your lower back's a little bit fatigued, you can just go onto the machine and just pull until you can't pull anymore, right? And what I like to do sometimes is focus on a rowing type movement and then go into some lat pull downs. And of course, I'm always working on the thickness of the back and everything. And I find that lat pull downs are fun for me, but it's almost like a separate movement altogether, because working the lats in that stretch sort of state is a different type of movement. I almost feel like it's two different planes of movement altogether, although they both influence the size of the back. Now, of course, this is me just pumping reps down at the bottom here, just warming up that area, right? But if you noticed, if you're around the front, you notice that I never pull the bar down to my chest or anything. This is about as far down as I can pull without rotating the elbows in or rotating the hands over, like arm wrestling the bar down. So this is a full contraction for me for back. And I stick the chest out when I come down. I see a lot of people when they're doing back is that they try to round over the bar, like treat it like a chin up, and they try to basically contract their stomach and then round over the bar to bring that bar down as low as possible. But once again, you're going to bring in the teres major or the internal rotators of the rotator cuff, and you're not necessarily going to make the back the weak link in the exercise, and that's the whole point. Now, I can straighten up a little bit more here, right? If I bring the arms in more, but then again, I'm not really taking more stress on the lats to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically have the arms way above my head, and that's going to start to bring in more of the rear delts and once again the rotator cuff. So that's what I'm trying to avoid in this movement. I want to keep all the stress on the back. That's the whole point. I want the stress to stay on the back, and that's how I've built a biggity back.
finish this workout off with a little bit of legs. I'm just gonna do about 5 sets of leg press, maybe 5, 6, 7 plates, whatever, somewhere around there. Just nice and light, just doing sets of 20, 30, 40 reps, whatever my lazy ass can motivate myself to do. And yeah, I had a question in the Facebook group just the other day. Somebody was asking about, you know, what does failure constitute? Well, failure constitutes... What guy's lifting during my talking? Who's he think he is? I'm lifting. I'm talking here and he's lifting.
Well, you obviously don't watch my YouTube videos, see?
No, I don't.
It's not right. I mean, I'm in a gym, but this is just like not supposed to happen, man. Does he know who I am? Obviously not a Gallantian. Obviously not a Gallantian. So anyway, in the group, it was discussed about what's failure. So in the higher rep ranges, obviously, you know, the muscle burn fatigue becomes more a factor in the failure principle. So it's a lot more painful, which is why a lot of people don't do high reps, because they just want to avoid that pain. But the fact is that you do as many reps as you can, you go into that burn as much as you can, and that constitutes positive failure. So yeah, if you're doing high reps, do as many as you can. If you're doing low reps, as many as you can. Just the experience of the failure will be different. So watch my video on the 2 different types of failure. I explain it there. Hamstrings are tight. Or as I just sit here for a bit and stretch the hands out. I'll just keep the bum on the bench, keep the back slightly arched. And that helps stretch those hamstrings out. Okay, so just 6 plates right now, 6 plates. I might just stick to this. The goal is not for me to push deep into heavy weight today. I'm really just looking to get a burn, get the blood there, because my hamstrings are really sore still from the last workout. So, but when you're sore, you can get a great benefit from doing some higher rep workouts, right? So I like to combine them up.
So the thing is with leg press is that I like to come down to about 90 degrees at the knee, but it just depends on how the seating position is. So obviously if the seat is up a lot higher, you will concentrate a lot more on the quads themselves, and you will get a little bit more of a hamstring stretch, although you don't get much of a hamstring contraction because, again, you're not doing that extension of the hip. But when I bring the seat down lower, what happens is that I will bring in a lot more glute, and you can come down a little bit further, but it doesn't necessarily isolate the area that I want to hit. So this is why I keep the seat up quite high. Now, the other thing you will notice that if you bring the seat down too low, your body may have the tendency to lift the glute off the pad, and you never want to do this. I see a lot of guys trying to get really good depth on the leg press, but what they're doing is lifting their glute off the pad and rounding their lower back to do this. You will eventually herniate a disc in your lower back doing this. Do not do this. So what you do is you hold onto those handles and you keep your bum down on the pad no matter what weight you're using, and just make sure that you keep that bum stable, right? All the movement should happen from the waist down. It should not be happening from the waist up, because if that's going on, if you start rounding that lower back, then you're going to start tweaking something. And I know a few guys that actually did herniate a disc doing that. So that said, it's more about feeling your way through the movement and making sure the tension stays off of the knees. You don't want to feel massive tension in the knees. If you're feeling massive tension in the knees, make sure you're keeping those heels down on the pad or platform. Platform is the word I was looking for. Or you may need to bring your feet up higher on the platform to compensate.
All right, last set of these. Last set of light leg press. And then that'll be it. I'll be done.
So the reason why you might want to bring your feet up higher on the platform or lower is basically because of the way you're built. And I've always talked about the law of individuality. Each person's built differently. So some guys can be taller than you, but you might have a longer femur. You know, that upper leg part, for those of you guys that just want to talk street talk, okay? Upper leg, the femur, you know, the bone that runs through the upper leg, that might be longer in you, and that will influence where you need to put those feet on the platform. Okay, so higher, lower, whatever. So you have to go with what feels right, what keeps that tension on the muscle belly, not necessarily so much on the knees. You're going to feel some tension on the knees no matter what, but what you want to do is make sure that you feel a lot of the tension in the belly of the muscle itself. And that also includes not feeling too much strain or stretch in the hips. You don't want to feel tearing or pulling or anything in the hips either, right? So yeah, that's just a general sort of little tutorial there.
Oh, that burns. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for watching. You bastard, you fucking interrupted my shit all night, eh? First deadlifting, now this. First deadlifting, now this. I tell you, this is bullshit. It's bullshit. What was I saying? What was I saying before I was so rudely interrupted? Huh? What was I saying? Yeah, so you can do the chest, back, legs anyway. You get a lot of the other body parts in, blah, 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 blah. So if you want to get a hold of me, just go to naturalbodybuilding.com. If you want to become a Patreon supporter and help support this channel so I can keep on making videos for you and get lost up in the woods and to pay for pine needle and splinter removal when I make my way back home, yeah, that would help. So anyway, you can go to patreon.com under Natural Lamp Bodybuilding and you can become a contributor to this channel. And thanks a lot for watching, and take care for now. And share my stuff.